Hello, Beacon Heights students. I'm Mrs. Dale, and this is lesson number 13. Before we begin our lesson this time, I would like to tell you about a fun musical holiday sing-along that we will be doing next week. I hope you will join us. Today I want to talk about Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky, a Russian composer. This is how you spell his name. It is very Russian. Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky was born on May 7th, 1840 in Russia. He was the second of 6 living children. His father was a wealthy mining engineer. From childhood, Peter showed a keen interest in music, and his first musical memories came from a family home orchestrion, a large musical mechanical instrument designed to imitate the sound of an orchestra. Tchaikovsky made his first attempt at writing music at the age of 4, with a song written together with his younger sister Alexandra. Peter Tchaikovsky began piano lessons at the age of 5, and within 3 years, he could read music as well as his teacher. Peter Tchaikovsky soon became acquainted with the music of Frédéric Chopin. At that time, music education was not available in Russian schools, so his parents did not think Peter could have a musical career. So they sent young Peter to the prestigious Imperial School of Jurisprudence, a boarding school for young boys in St. Petersburg. He spent 9 years there. He proved to be a diligent and successful student, and he was very popular with his classmates. When Tchaikovsky left school, he had to get a job. For 4 years, he worked as a clerk in the Ministry of Justice. Then the composer and pianist Anton Rubinstein helped him to become a music student at the newly opened conservatory in St. Petersburg. He learned to play the flute and the organ as well as the piano, and learning all about composition as well. When Tchaikovsky was 26, he moved to Moscow, where the brother of Rubinstein encouraged Tchaikovsky to write music with a Russian flair. He worked very hard and finished his first symphony, which was performed in 1868. It was well received. Right now I'd like to read you a story about Tchaikovsky. The book is about Tchaikovsky's life as a child, and it is written by Anne Rachlin. Goodbye, Mama. Goodbye, Nikolai. Come back soon. The 2 children waved as the carriage disappeared around the corner. Little Peter had tears in his eyes. When will she be back? He asked his father. She won't be long, said Mr. Tchaikovsky. Mama's taking Nikolai to St. Petersburg to find you a governess. Don't look so sad, Peter. Peter's little sister Sasha seemed to have already forgotten Mama. Suddenly Peter stood still. Sasha, he called, I've got a great idea. Let's make up a song for Mama. We can sing it to her when she comes back. We'll call it Our Mama in St. Petersburg. And he started to hum the tune. They're here! The sound of the carriage wheels brought everyone out of the house. Peter ran to Mama, and she picked him up and hugged him. The courtyard was crowded with happy people as everyone rushed to welcome Mama home. This is Fanny, our new governess, said Mama to Papa. Mr. Tchaikovsky greeted Fanny warmly. I hope you will be very happy with us, Fanny, he said. The next morning, Fanny began to teach the older children, Nikolai and his cousin Lydia. Fanny was a good teacher, and lessons were fun. Why can't I have lessons, Fanny, pleaded Peter. Because you are too little. Every day, Peter came to Fanny's schoolroom, and one morning she said, with a sigh, Oh, very well, Peter, you can have lessons too. Peter adored Fanny and enjoyed his lessons. Soon he could read and write better than his brother and sister. But he was so messy. He never tied his shoelaces. His shirt was always buttoned the wrong way. There was a dirt on his trousers, and his hands were always grubby. Just look at you, Peter, said Fanny as she smothered his uncombed hair. You're a mess. One morning, Peter was alone in the nursery. Suddenly, he heard the sound of galloping horses, and he rushed to the window. The winter snow lay thick on the ground. A gallop, a gallop, a gallop, a gallop. The rhythm of the horses' hoofs sounded like music to Peter, and he tapped in time on the window. The louder the sounds, the harder he hit the glass. Suddenly, he shattered as his little hand went through the window pane. He screamed. Fanny and Mama washed and bandaged his hand. "Why did you break the window, Peter?" asked Mama. "It was the music of the horses," explained Peter. "What horses?" asked Fanny. She carried Peter to the window. There were no hoof prints in the smooth white snow. "You had better have a piano lesson," said Mama. "The next time you hear that music of the horses, you can play it instead on the piano. It will be less dangerous." The house was quiet. The grown-ups had been dancing to the music of Papa's player piano. When Papa changed the music rolls, Peter would run to his piano and pick out the tunes. Later that evening, as Fanny came upstairs, she heard Peter crying. "This music, it won't let me sleep." Fanny tried to calm him. "There is no music, Peter. Everyone's gone home." "It's here," said Peter, pointing to his head. "I can't get rid of it. It won't leave me alone." Papa had a new job, and the whole family was moving to Moscow. Fanny was not going to go with them. There were tears in her eyes as she kissed the sleeping children goodbye. When Peter realized she had gone, he was very sad. He tried to write her a letter, but he cried so much that the pen made 5 blots on the paper, and he had to start again. When they arrived in Moscow, someone else had taken Papa's new job. "Let's go to St. Petersburg," said Mama. "Nikolai and Peter can go to the Schmeling school there." The family did as Mama suggested, but Peter hated school. And there was too much homework. Sometimes he did not finish until midnight. So he was quite happy when one morning he woke up covered with red spots. He had caught the measles. The measles made Peter very ill, and he had to stay at home. His mother found a new governess for him named Anastasia. Peter's mother wrote to Fanny, "Dear and good Fanny, although I am satisfied with Anastasia, the children are not the same as when they were with you, especially Peter. He has become impatient, and he answers back and cries whenever he is told to do something he does not like. I hope he will grow out of it before he goes to boarding school." Boarding school. Whenever he thought of it, Peter trembled with fear and hurried to the piano. He was very frail and a sensitive child. "Made of china," Fanny had said. "I am always at the piano," he wrote to her. "It cheers me up when I am sad." In September 1850, when he was 10 years old, Peter started in the preparatory class of the School of Law in St. Petersburg. Peter was very lonely without Nikolai, who had been sent to a different school. The family now lived far away, but Mama stayed in St. Petersburg while he was getting settled. Peter clung to his mother's hand. A few tears ran down his cheeks, but he was calm. They were traveling to the Central Turnpike, where Mama would board the coach to return home. Their friend, Mr. Kaiser, had brought his 2 children to keep Peter company. When Mama left, he would take Peter and the children back to school. "Be a brave boy, Peter." Mama kissed him goodbye. Peter burst into tears and clung to her. "No, no, darling, don't cry. I'll be back soon." But Peter sobbed as though his heart would break. Mr. Kaiser had to drag him away from his mother, who climbed into the coach. The horses started to move. With a cry of despair, Peter pulled away from Mr. Kaiser and rushed after the carriage. He grabbed at the footboard and slipped as his hand touched the wheels. "Don't go," he screamed. Strong arms lifted him. Mr. Kaiser tried to comfort him, bruised and covered with mud. Peter Tchaikovsky sobbed as he watched the coach disappear down the road. The teachers at the new school were kind to Peter. Monsieur Berard, his French teacher, even took him to the children's court ball, where he saw the Tsar, the ruler of the mighty Russian Empire. He was as close as the sofa is to the writing desk in Papa's study, he wrote to his parents. Peter missed them. They kept promising to come and see him, but something always prevented them. "If my beautiful angels do not come," he wrote, "I will be very lonely." It was Sunday, and Peter lifted his books out of the hollow linden tree in the garden. Instead of going out to see Nikolai, he had to stay at school and study. "I was 3rd in the February exams," he thought. "I'm sure I'll do well in the ones in June, too." Peter was right. He passed the exams and went into the advanced school of law. His parents had decided he would be a lawyer. The boys liked him, especially when he played the piano for them to dance. One day, the noise of their stomping feet disturbed Monsieur Berard in the room below. When he angrily opened the door, the boys rushed out. Peter refused to give their names and took the punishment alone. Monsieur Berard shook his head sadly. Peter, you are one of our best students, but I fear that music will always be your first love. Monsieur Berard was right. Some years later, Peter decided to become a musician. He went on to write 10 operas, 6 symphonies, 4 concertos, and the music for 3 famous ballets, The Sleeping Beauty, Swan Lake, and The Nutcracker. Like the book said, Peter Tchaikovsky wrote 3 ballets, Swan Lake, Sleeping Beauty, and his last ballet was The Nutcracker. A ballet is a theatrical performance that tells a story using music, costumes, sets, and dance. The Nutcracker Ballet is about a young girl named Clara who befriends a nutcracker and wages a battle against the evil Mouse King. The music is written by Peter Tchaikovsky, based on E.T.A. Hoffmann's 1814 story, The Nutcracker and the Mouse King. Since the 1960s, the Nutcracker has enjoyed enormous popularity and is performed by countless ballet companies throughout the world, particularly at Christmas time. Tchaikovsky's score has become one of the most famous compositions. The score is noted for its use of the celesta, also called a bell piano. It is used in Tchaikovsky's Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. Let's take a listen now. I would like to tell you about what an overture is. Before all the ballets begin, there is an overture that is played. Let's take a listen to the Nutcracker Ballet's overture, and I will explain what that is to you. An overture is a piece of music at the beginning of an opera or a ballet. The word comes from the French word for opening because it opens the show. Overtures usually have themes and tunes which are going to be heard throughout the ballet or opera. In this way, it prepares the audience for what is to come. Let's continue to listen. So while you're waiting for the ballet or opera to begin, you just sit quietly and enjoy the music. The curtains are closed, so there is nothing to watch. You just listen and get excited for what's going to happen. This overture is from Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker, and it is so famous. You can hear it almost anywhere, especially this time of year. You can feel the excitement. You can hear the different themes, the different instruments. It requires a full orchestra for this overture. There's the brass section, the string section, the woodwind section, the timpani section, and of course there's a conductor. It's building. Here's that theme again. You can hear the violins and the pizzicato. Getting ready for the curtains to open. And then the curtains will open. Very good. I have to tell you a fun fact. In 1975, when I was 12 years old, my twin sister, Miss Annette, and myself had the opportunity to dance in Ballet West's production of the Nutcracker at the Capitol Theater here in Salt Lake City. This is the program. It's almost in pristine condition. And from 1975, Ballet West danced from December 26th to December 31st. And here is a picture of me. This is a picture of me in my soldier costume. My sister and I were the soldiers who fought the giant Mouse King. And I will show you a portion of the battle with the mice and all the soldiers. I hope you enjoyed watching that clip from the Nutcracker. It brought back so many memories of my childhood. Now back to Tchaikovsky. In 1875, he was invited to go to Europe to conduct at many of the cities: Leipzig, Berlin, Prague, Hamburg, Paris, and London. In the spring of 1891, Tchaikovsky was invited to conduct in New York City, where the new Carnegie Hall was being opened. He also conducted concerts in Baltimore and in Philadelphia. When he returned to Russia, he wrote his last ballet, which we have already talked about, the Nutcracker. While in Moscow, Tchaikovsky taught music theory at the Russian Musical Society, soon thereafter renamed the Moscow Conservatory. Tchaikovsky resigned from the Moscow Conservatory, and he wanted to focus entirely on composing. As a result, his collective body of work consists of 169 pieces, including symphonies, operas, his 3 ballets, concertos, cantatas, and many songs. Tchaikovsky's music is famous for its strong emotion and technical skill. His deep sensitivity saturated his music, producing lush melodies. His 6th symphony, titled the Pathetique Symphony, is one of his greatest symphonic masterpieces, and it is the most famous symphony in all the works. The symphony premiered on October 1893, just 9 days before he died, and this work is associated with his sudden death. It is his most emotionally draining of all his works. Let's take a listen. I hope you have enjoyed listening and learning about the music of Peter Tchaikovsky. Until next time, take care.